Nobody has ever spoken to you as harshly as you speak to yourself, and most of us just live with that, like it's normal, like the voice is just a part of who we are. But what if it isn't? What if the way you talk to yourself has been quietly deciding what you do, what you try, and what you walk away from? Welcome back to Frame by Frame. My name is Nathan, and today we're answering what does it actually mean to love yourself. For those of you who watch Demon Slayer, you know Zenitsu. You probably remember him as the guy who spent half his screen time crying on the floor, convinced he's about to die. But here's the thing, Zenitsu is genuinely powerful, like actually one of the most talented Demon Slayer in the entire series. So why does he spend every fight telling himself he can't do it? Because his inner critic won't let him forget it. That's what I call the inner critic, the voice that tells you you're not good enough before you even try. Most people have one. Most people never notice it. And Zenitsu's is loud. Every fight starts the same way, crying, screaming, completely paralyzed by the voice in his head. On Nataguma Mountain, he faces a spider demon, and instead of fighting back, he breaks down. He's crying, running, and already decided he's going to die. The inner critic hasn't just shaken his confidence, it's taken over completely. Then he falls unconscious, and with that voice finally silent, his body performs a flawless technique and defeats the demon completely. The skill was always there, the belief wasn't. And this isn't a one-off. By the time we reach Hashira training arc and the Infinity Castle, we see a completely different Zenitsu. And honestly, Zenitsu is one of my favorite characters in the whole series. And his comeback in the Infinity Castle is just the coolest thing to watch. But that's exactly the point. The inner critic isn't running the show anymore, and what he's capable of when that happens is honestly something else. The talent was never the problem, it was always the voice. And if you're honest with yourself, how different is that from you? I've always loved football, not training, not tactics, just playing with friends. And for a long time, I was one of the best in my group. First with the ball, always taking people on, always backing myself. Then I started playing with older guys and better players, and something shifted. I stopped dribbling, stopped taking risk. The same moves that came naturally before, I just stopped trying them. Because what if I messed up? What if they saw me? And then, one day, I was watching YouTube and came across this quote: "Be careful how you speak to yourself, you're always listening." And I just sat with that for a second, because I realized I hadn't stopped dribbling because I couldn't do it anymore. I'd stopped because my inner critic had gotten so loud I couldn't hear anything else. So, what if I just stopped listening to it? What if I actually backed myself without waiting for the proof first? I was still thinking about that when I met up with a friend, and out of nowhere, he just looked at me and said, "How can you know you're gonna fail if you don't even try?" Just a quick break. If you're enjoying so far, a subscribe would mean the world to me. Thank you, now let's keep going. Then there's Tanjiro. Same world, same demons, same stakes, but a completely different inner voice. Tanjiro gets knocked down constantly, outmatched, injured, pushed past every limit you can imagine. But he never spirals, he never turns on himself, he doesn't lie on the ground thinking about how weak he is. He lies on the ground looking for what he can do next. That's what I call the inner ally, the opposite of the inner critic. It's not the voice that tells you everything is fine when it isn't. It's the voice that never turns against you. And look, Tanjiro is so much more than just this. Next to Zenitsu, he's one of my favorites in the entire show. But this isn't about his whole story. It's just about a part of him, one trait I think it's worth talking about. And you see it most clearly in his fight against Rui on Ataguma Mountain. While Zenitsu was having a breakdown fighting the spider demon, Tanjiro was facing something even worse. He's completely outmatched, injured, exhausted, his sword literally can't cut through its threads. Physically, he's losing, but instead of breaking mentally, he locks in. He remembers his father, he recalls Hinokami Kagura, and his inner voice never turns against him. He doesn't say, "I'm weak." He says, "I have to do this, I can do this." And I know that in the end, Giyu was actually the one who defeated Rui, but the fact that Tanjiro In his first year as a Demon Slayer, arms destroyed, completely outmatched, almost defeated one of the 12 Kizuki, that's not weakness. That's what happens when your inner voice refuses to give up on you. The inner ally isn't something Tanjiro was born with. It's a choice. The same choice that's available to all of us. That's what self-love actually looks like in practice. Not a feeling. A decision to stay on your own side, no matter what. And me, after my friend said those words, I tried. It wasn't a movie moment. There was no snap of the fingers, no sudden belief that I could do everything. Nothing clicked overnight. Nothing magically changed. I just tried and messed up. I tried again, and every time the inner critic showed up and told me I was going to embarrass myself, I didn't argue with it. I didn't try to silence it. I just tried anyway. Sometimes it took 10 attempts to get one thing right. Sometimes I'd go home after the game feeling like nothing had changed. But I kept showing up, and slowly, so slowly, I almost didn't notice it, the inner critic started getting quieter. Not gone, just quieter. My inner critic didn't disappear in a week, it took months. But the moment the inner ally started to win, I realized it was never about the football. It was never really about any of it. The dribbles, the other guys, whether I was good enough to belong on that pitch. It was always about something simpler than that. Whether I was willing to be on my own side, even when every voice in my head was telling me I shouldn't bother. So here's what I want you to take from this. Every single day, you make a choice. Not always consciously, but you make it. You either feed the inner critic as Zenitsu did, or build the inner ally as Tanjiro did. You either speak to yourself as the enemy, or you stay on your own side. There is no neutral. And I'm genuinely curious, which one are you right now? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And self-love isn't a feeling you wait for. It's not a glow-up, a good week, or a moment when everything finally clicks. It's a quiet decision to back yourself before you have the proof. To be mindful of how you talk to yourself. Every day, even when it's hard. Most people are waiting until they feel ready, waiting until they're good enough. But you don't need to be the best right now. You don't need the proof before you believe in yourself. The belief comes first. That's the whole point. You back yourself and then you figure it out. So, what does it actually mean to love yourself? It means being the one person in your life who never gives up on you. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you subscribe. It helps the channel more than you know. And if you like this video, you'll love this one too. Thanks for watching and goodbye.